He's a great release guy. They got other good wideouts. They did a great job of upgrading their talent pool in the portal. They got, I think, 3, maybe 4 portal receivers. I know 3 that play a lot of time, and he was one of those guys. He's twitchy, fast, explosive, elite speed, and elite body quickness. So when you talk about covering people, he's explosive. He can take a handoff, or he can run through the middle of your defense and blow the top off. So, and Sark's used to having really good guys like that to set plays up with, to stretch the field vertically and horizontally with.
Yeah, 2 days in, how has practice been so far this week?
It was good. I don't know if it was our best Tuesday. I thought that it was good, not great, and we've had some good ones, but it was spirited. They got after it, and we had a good competitive practice. Yesterday was a lighter Monday. Like I said, we've had more snaps played this year than we ever have before. So we just did a little bit less on Monday, and the same kind of Tuesdays we've been having.
How similar, if at all, would you say Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck are?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I feel that way. I don't get a chance to watch them. I didn't get to watch them last year, other than I watched their playoff games, obviously, and then watched them in the off season some. And then you don't have a full a full quota of his, because he hadn't played in every game. But the games he's played in, they're very similar in terms of knowledge, understanding of their offense, protections. He doesn't seem pressure affects him much. I mean, he seems like he has really good composure in there, stands in there. They both have the ability, if something goes wrong, to get you out of a bad play, and typically avoid catastrophes. That's what older quarterbacks do. That's the similarities they seem to have.
Yeah, it was announced today that the Georgia Tech game next year is going to be played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. What kind of impact do you think that has on that rivalry?
I don't really know. I had heard that. The rivalry is there. They've done a tremendous job. I think they're recruiting at a really high level. They're competing. They're playing really hard. They play really physical. They've got a great coaching staff. So as far as the game being there I don't think it affects the rivalry. Like where you play, that game doesn't matter. It's going to be, physical.
Yeah, Kirby, you talked about Ellis Robinson the other day. Just what are the hardest parts of getting ready to play winning football in the SEC as a corner, as a true freshman?
I don't know where to begin. The hardest parts are, starts with ability. He's blessed with God-given talent. He's really talented. He's practiced better the last 2 weeks than he has all year. I think he has the stamina to go practice the whole time. The attention to detail to focus in meetings. He takes much better notes right now than he has. In his awareness, early on there were times where he might, bust a coverage, and if he's playing squat flat to the field and there's nobody behind him because we're in a different coverage, that can be. It's not like a D lineman. A D lineman messes up, none of y'all know. Y'all don't have a clue. A linebacker messes up. Very rarely do you know. But when a corner messes up, everybody knows. And we're trying to take that out of it. And physical. He's a physical football player, but he continues to develop. He's been lifting. His toughness shows. He's always been a good tackler. So I'm excited about Ellis. I think he does a really good job, and we've got to keep finding ways to try to get him out there.
Hey, Coach, just an update on how much Jordan and Jared have been able to do these last 2 days. Expect them to travel to Austin.
Jordan and who?
Jared Wilson.
Yeah, Jared's been good. Jared's been practicing. Seems to be doing more the last 2 days than he has in the previous weeks. Looks good and repped out there today. Jordan's done more than he has the last 2 weeks. Has been out there repping, taking reps with us, and getting better. Jordan's has been a long, hard process, and he's having to get comfortable with the pain that he has, and it jumps up and bites him at times when you never know. It might just hit him on a rep, and that's kept him from being able to take the rep load that he would like to take. But he was out there today, doing more this week than he did last week, and Jared was too.
Kirby, you guys are underdogs for the first time since the 21 season opener. I know you don't need any more motivation in a week like this, but is that something that's been addressed at all this week?
No, I don't even know that. I do not look at lines and underdog favorites. I worry about one thing: what do we have to do to play our best? That comes with a lot of game planning. There is a mental approach to the game, but I don't think it's about being the underdog. I don't think that's, I think it's about being physical and being prepared to play in a tough place, and the mental strength it takes to play well on the road. You don't need to waste all that energy talking about being the underdog.
Kirby, on last time you played Texas, I know you said last week you didn't remember Bevo trying to kill me and Jake and some other people, but that was the only bowl game that you've lost, not counting national championship. Do you remember that? Did that offer any lessons, or was it just circumstances? And how do you reflect on that game?
I don't remember much about it. I get those things confused. There was one that we had a lot of guys out. We had a lot of guys either academically out, and we kind of took this approach of, like, if you want to be here, get all in. If you don't, get all out. I think that was the Baylor one, and that was really fun, and it was, like, exciting. But I think we learned maybe from the Texas one with guys that may not have been all in. It was a weird season because I think that was the year that, like, you're all the way in it to the very end, and then you're not. And it was like one of our first games that you weren't playing for it to play in the playoffs. Maybe that's not right. I don't know that, but it seemed that way. And you're always trying to find a motivating factor, especially at the end of the year. And I remember they had a really good team, and they were very talented, and so were we. And I know we played a lot of young players in it, but I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Kirby, where does Texas fit into what you guys do recruiting, and is there anything unique about trying to get some top players from that state?
Unique. There's tons of players in Texas. I mean, I've always said the entire SEC footprint prior to Texas being in the SEC and A&M being in the SEC could fit into Texas. So, like, if you took all the people and all the people in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and you just said, it's like Texas. So there's so many good players there. There's so many good high schools, development. Coaches get paid more. They have indoors. They have practice all day. They practice year-round. I mean, they just got everything. So when you go over there, I liken it to getting Georgia high school football players. They're very well coached, hard-nosed. Football's important. So, but they're hard to get because of the travel. What we usually end up doing is getting somebody that's connected. It's like, okay, they have some kind of connection. Somebody in Atlanta, some relative, maybe a connection to a coach, or they really wanted to play in the SEC. And before they had one option. Now they've got multiple options. But it's the hardest job in Texas is figuring out who to go after. And that's I've always heard. Will's always said that about the Texas job. It's not the hard job because of that. It's hard because you have to figure out who you're going to go recruit because there's so many good players, and differentiating player A and player B is really hard.
Coach, talking about a couple of years ago, that was the first time that you guys weren't really playing for anything. Obviously, you guys are playing for something in this game, and because you've already had a loss. Can you just talk about, I guess you run 100 yards as fast as you can run it, no matter what the circumstances are. But the narrative here is going to be Georgia cannot afford to lose this game.
Nah.
So how does that manifest itself? Does it even enter the football complex?
No. That's for you guys to talk about and speculate about, not for us. I mean, the quote you had about you weren't playing for anything. We were playing for something, okay? I shouldn't have said that. I want to say we was playing for the Sugar Bowl. That matters. That's a big deal. It was not a national championship narrative, and at that point, we weren't in that every year anyway. So, I look at it every year and I observe our team based on the criteria of, do we get the most out of them? Do we maximize the potential of that team? And we know what we see every day on the practice field. We know what we have relative to who we're playing. We know all those things. So I don't get caught up in, well, if this happens or that happens or they're playing, everybody's going to start saying that. They're going to say that for every game, for every team the rest of the way. And really, you're playing the long game. The long game is, who can be the best teams at the end of the year, and you're trying to be one of the best 12 teams, and how that aligns with this game, it's not real. We got to worry about how we play in this game. We got to worry about what we got to do to play well in this game, not any narrative that's out there or what people are talking about with the playoffs, because that's a ways down the road. We got to get better. That's what we got to do.
Kirby, 6 games in, just where do you feel like y'all's run game is at this point in the season?
Who am I playing? Right. So our run game is relative to who we play typically. I mean, that's honestly, I think you take the opponent out of it and say, we set the standard, we should be able to do this. But I also think it's unrealistic in this league to find many teams that are just dominating in the run game. If they are, they probably are doing it some with the quarterback run. Okay, so if you take quarterback run out of it and you say, all right, these are the teams that don't run the quarterback by design, where do you stack up? How are your backs? How are you blocking people? What is your success rate? What is your, not average yards per carry, what is your efficiency runs per carry? And I've been really comfortable with where that is based on who we play.
Yeah, Dylan Bell back in his home state this week. What have you seen him sort of bring to this offense and bring to this team in his time here at the University of Georgia?
He's developed a lot. He came in as a raw, talented running back, and we knew he could be a wideout from being here at camp. And he's brought toughness. He's brought a very different skill set, a catch and run skill set, hard to tackle skill set. He's very intelligent, and he's made us a better team and program. So very thankful we were able to get him to come.
I know defensive line depth was a concern early on with injuries. How would you assess how that group has come along as the season has played out?
Still coming. I mean, we're not complete. We're not injury free. Warren's battling injury. Jordan's battling injury. Michael has been battling injury, and Christian has been battling injury. I mean, he's not able to complete the work week every week in and a week out, but he's able to go out and play. Nas has been the most reliable and dependable in terms of staying injury free. But when you're beat up in one area, it usually means Xavier McLeod missed all that time. So there's not really a guy that hasn't missed time at that position. We've been really fortunate to have the numbers we have, even though it's not necessarily the experience we need. It is a lot of big frames and big body types who are getting better.
Coach, you were just talking about how it's difficult to evaluate teams' running game from week to week, but Texas is a team that had a lot of injuries in their running back room at the beginning of the year. What stands out to you about the group that they have out there now?
Tough, man. They run well. They got really fast, physical backs. They got 3 backs that all play and do a great job. They've also got, probably one of the deepest, most talented offensive lines in the country. They got, multiple guys that'll be high draft picks, and they're really physical in the run game. They have a unique run game in that they run a little more outside zone than some teams we've played, and they're really good at it. I mean, they did it when Sark was at Alabama. They've done it successfully at Texas. They do a nice job. I mean, they're averaging a lot of yards a carry for SEC plays.
Kirby, you've turned to some backups at tackle and guard. Is that harder to do at center if you have 2 guys that you guys think can play winning football?
You say you turned back. You're talking about play both guys?
Yeah, like, bringing a guy for a series.
Yeah, it's much harder. I don't know many people that do that, and it's hard to do that. I mean, maybe somebody does, and I'm not aware of it, but typically we don't. That's not a position that we rotate in terms of that. But both of those guys have flexibility, too. They can play other positions. They both can play guard and things.
Yeah, Kirby, we saw Chauncey Bowens wasn't dressed out the other day. Just what is he dealing with injury-wise, and see a guy who could be in line for more?
Yeah, he's fine. He's practicing. He had a little injury that he was dealing with last week, but he's been practicing all this week.
Yeah, Coach, what makes a good wide zone football team or stretch zone football team, and why is it so difficult to stop when a team's good at it?
Well, I'd have to go a long time into that, and I'd have to give one of your long dissertations that you give about football, and I can't sit here and give that dissertation right now. So, plus, I don't really want to talk strategy, with the opponent. So, I mean, they're good at it. I can just tell you that, and they do a really nice job at what they do. And it's different angles. The back's got a different angle. It's got different pressure points. We've had problems with certain runs in the last couple of weeks. Well, they run those runs, but they also run outside zone really well.
Time for one more question.
Hey, you mentioned this about Nas. Just how is he able to stay on the field? It seems like he's taking a lot more reps, period, this year. But that's a position that obviously all kinds of contact. How's he able to do that?
I don't know. He's been really durable. I mean, of all the players we've ever had, I can't remember if this is his fifth year, right? So I think it's his fifth, and I can't remember the guy missing practice. I mean, he has tremendous flexibility, which keeps you from getting injured. He has what we call contact balance, which means he can strike and not get knocked off when another person hits him on a double team. He can anchor. So, he's been very durable, and we would be in trouble without him. And I thought he had a really, really good year 2 years ago. He had a pretty good year last year, and then this year he's played better to me than last year, and he continues to grow and get better. But he's just been a workload, and he's an invaluable leader because he sets an example by the way he practices and his toughness. I mean, he carries more reps than anybody, and we've tried to take some of that off of him too in practice because he's played so long.